Hello, friends, and welcome to Boot Room, the show where we look ahead to Ipswich Town's big game tomorrow night at Rotherham. I'm Mark Heath, with me, Stuart Watson, to look ahead to that game. Stewie, Town lost at the weekend against Sunderland, disappointingly, and they have a chance to get right back on the horse and make another statement against a side that are flying even higher in the table in Rotherham, second place. Rotherham unbeaten in 14 games. This is going to be a very, very tough test, though.
It will, yeah. No time to dwell on that late disappointment at Sunderland on Saturday. Back down to Suffolk to take on, as you say, a Rotherham side that are banging form, finding their rhythm. They beat Cambridge United 3-1 at home at the weekend without arguably their two best players. Top goal scorer Michael Smith serving a one-game suspension. He'll be back tomorrow night. Ollie Rathbone, their star man in midfield, he was ill, so we'll see whether he's available again. But without those two, they won 3-1. Cambridge United manager Mark Bonner said they were outstanding, way above the level athletically of anyone we have played this season. They were powerful, aggressive, hard-running, relentless and ruthless. It will be a good side that finishes above them. So that tells you everything you need to know about the tough ask for Ipswich Town. We knew that anyway. Rotherham are the masters of bouncing straight back up again. They're becoming that proverbial yo-yo side, and they've got that physicality for League One, haven't they? So time for Ipswich Town to put on their big boy pants, roll up their sleeves. Let's see what they're made of.
Indeed, and worrying words there from Bonner, of course, because Town have already played Cambridge United, so he's including Town in that group of teams that can't match up athletically to Rotherham. Big boy pants need to be fully on, as you say, tomorrow night, Stewie. What are you going to do with the side? Because Town lost at the weekend, and you were kind of talking earlier about maybe a few players nudging into that red/amber zone where they might need changing, freshen things up a little bit. So what would you do with the side at Portman Road tomorrow?
I think there's a few question marks there for Paul Cook, who is a loyal manager. I think he tries to stick with his team as long as he possibly can. We saw that at the Stadium of Light on Saturday, where it was just the one enforced change with Wes Burns out with a hamstring injury that he'd felt at Oldham. Says that he'll be out for a short period of time, so that would suggest that he won't be available to go again. Sonny Aluko came in for him. But I think then he'd be tempted now, given that this is another tough game within a short period of time, that he might want to just freshen up one or two areas. The main question marks, as always, are what he does with the three players behind the striker. I think Connor Chaplin is pushing very hard to start now, a player who has scored goals and been lively, arguably been unfortunate not to be involved in the last few. Selina missed those chances at the weekend, so I could see Chaplin coming in. I'd like to get Scott Fraser into this team as well. The chances have started to dry up a little bit for Ipswich, and Fraser is a player whose record with assists in particular at this level is there. So if you want me to run through a team, I've got Walton in goal, Donasian at right back, the excellent George Edmondson, who's very much in form at the heart of defence. And then I've made a couple of changes at the back line. I've got Cameron Burgess in, just because to deal with the physical threat of Rotherham. Touch harsh on Toto Enciala, but that's my reasoning there. Left back's a bit of a question mark as well. Clements, as good as he was against Oxford on his league debut, I think has not been anywhere near those levels in the subsequent two games. I'd be tempted to put Kane Vincent-Young at left back, and give an injection of attacking intent from the fullback position. It's somewhere he's played before. Morsey and Evans, I'll stick with those in midfield. Then I've got Aluko on the right in the absence of Burns. Chaplin, as I mentioned, as the 10, who will need to do a bit of a defensive job on Dan Barlaser as much as an attacking job. Fraser on the left, Macaulay Bonne up front. But with a major caveat here that I'd like to see Joe Pigott, if things aren't going particularly well, or if Ipswich are still trying to search for those goals which have dried up, I'd like to see Joe Pigott get a little bit more than 5, 6, 7 minutes on this occasion.
And just show you working out a bit more at left back there. Obviously, you talked about Clements, but what about the likes of Penny and Coulson? Why you wouldn't bring them in?
Hayden Coulson, we don't know how close he is to returning, but I think this would be a big ask to suddenly chuck him straight back in at left back for this match. Matt Penny wasn't in the best run of form coming into this one, so that's my working there really. Kane Vincent-Young, I thought, was starting to look before he got that bang to the shoulder a few games ago, was starting to look like the attacking threat of old. He likes to cut inside at times, so maybe him on the left cutting in on his right foot could be a weapon as well. I don't think that's what Paul Cook will go with, but just a thought.
And what are you expecting from Rotherham? We know what kind of side they are: big physical side, second in the table, flying high, scoring goals, not conceding many. What kind of game are you expecting tomorrow night?
I think it could be a war of attrition at times. I think gone are the days where we were predicting 2-2 draws and things like that for Ipswich Town. The goals have slightly dried up, but they're definitely cutting out the individual errors and looking better defensively, albeit they conceded a couple of goals late on at the weekend. Set pieces is a slight concern for me for Ipswich. They've conceded from a couple of those and not dealt with them particularly convincingly, and Rotherham are good at those. I think almost a third of their goals have come from set pieces this season, so that's an area that I'd be looking at. But Ipswich, I think their best opportunity on the counter-attack in this game. Rotherham are good going forwards, but if they've got one slight vulnerability, it will be in transition. And Ipswich, hopefully, have still got that attacking ability to unlock the door and undo them. So that's the sort of game I'm expecting.
Okay, big question time, Stu. We know Town have got a little bit of magic under the lights at Portman Road on Tuesday nights this season. Are we going to see a bit of magic tomorrow night? What do you think the score is going to be?
I think if Ipswich were to come out the back end of this week with 4 points from the 3 games, that wouldn't be a disaster. Got Crewe coming up at home on Sunday, which is obviously the more winnable of these next 2 games. So a draw, 1-1.
1-1 draw. I've got a bad feeling about this game, and I think Town are going to lose 2-1. I would say though, if they do get a draw, I think that's a good result. If we're sitting here Wednesday morning, they've got a draw. That's a good point for Town, and a win would be absolutely tremendous. So fingers crossed. We will see what happens. Follow it all with us. Stu and Andy and Ross will be at the game, and we'll catch up with you next time.